Algebra 2, 6-2, day 2. So we're going to concentrate now. We're going to chunk this section up into 3 different lessons. Thank goodness we did that. If we didn't, it would have been really overwhelming. But what we're going to concentrate on in this particular chunk is cubic roots, okay? So as you can see on the board, 6-2, day 2, perfect cubic roots. That's what we're going to warm you up. You should be somewhat familiar with it, but maybe not. Cubic root of 1, 1. Cubic root of 8, 2. 27, 3, 64, 4, 125, 5, 216, 6. And I would venture to guess that these 4 are going to be the ones that you're going to see most often, okay? And it goes on forever and ever, but cubic roots, these are the real foundational ones that you're going to see kind of pop up over and over in this particular class. Just a quick reminder, it's okay to have the cubic root of a negative 27 because negative 3 times itself 3 times is negative 27. There's a little warm-up. Okay, now with that being said, the real focal point of our lesson today is what do we do with non-perfect cubic roots? Well, it's very similar to what we did with non-perfect square roots. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this. We're going to say, hey, is that a perfect cubic root? No. So we're going to try to break it up into the product of 2 perfect cubic roots. So remember, we want the perfect cubic root to come first. It just kind of flows a little bit better. So we go through our list. You know, thinking about that as one of our possibilities is kind of wasted time. So we're not going to worry about 1. Does 8 go into 54? No. Does 27? Yep. So there it is. 27. How many times? Twice. Now, what is the cubic root of 27? Well, as you can see, it's equal to 3, so it's going to turn into 3 cubic roots of 2. Now, you guys haven't dealt with many cubic roots. You see that little index of a 3? You guys are so used to making these that you're probably going to forget every now and then to put that little index of a 3. And if you don't put it there, it's technically 100% wrong because you're not really communicating what the problem's asking you to communicate. So take care of that index. Now, see this problem? We got a problem very similar to square roots. You got a radical in the basement. Terrible parenting, terrible parenting. Get that radical out of there. So, how? Well, this is a little different than square roots because here's the deal. Remember we talked about this rule right here? If you square a square root, the root flies off. So if I have 4 over the square root of 2, all I need to do is multiply this by the square root of 2. And then I'd get 4 square root of 2, and then the roots would fly off. I check my oil, and I get 2 square root of 2. It's that easy. And you guys did those. You did quite a few of those in Algebra 1. So now all of a sudden we're introducing you to cubic roots. Remember, if you square a square root, the roots fly off. What about if that's a 3? What if I cube a cubic root? Well, that would be the cubic root of 2 times the cubic root of 2 times the cubic root of 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And if we go back to our perfect cubic roots, the cubic root of 8 is 2. So if I cube a cubic root, the roof flies off. But I could also think of it like this. And I want you to really concentrate on this, the way this looks, because you're going to be using this today in today's lesson. But let's talk about this. The cubic root, the cubic root of 3 cubed. We are cubing a cubic root. In a way, these two things cancel, so we would just get a 3. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. I need a little space here. All right. So we have a problem. We got a radical in the basement. Difference is we got a cubic root. Now, what was our rule? You have to cube a cubic root for the roots to fly off. So if I just went like this, because that's what I'm used to, that wouldn't do the job. You see, I need 3 of them in order for the roots to fly off. So really, if you play cards, like, poker, you need 3 of a kind, okay? So 2 of them doesn't do the job. I need 3 of them in the denominator. And then that means I need to carry it along up there. Now the easy part is the denominator because I'm cubing a cubic root. This is the same thing as the cubic root of 2 cubed. And when you cube a cubic root, the roots fly off. You see, that's the only way you can get a cubic root out of the denominator. And then in the top, we've got some oil, got some water, we've got some water. So what mixes? The water can mix, but the oil doesn't. So I get 3 cubic root, 2 times 2 is 4. Now I know you guys are used to seeing the square root of 4, so your brain wants to say that that's 2. It's not. It's the cubic root of 4. And that is not part of our perfect cubic root list, so we're done. You can check your oil, but as you can see, you can't reduce it. Okay, so that's kind of new. Now on the last portion of the pre-lesson, I'm going to show you a trick, okay? So we look at this, very similar to this, very similar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what students would do if I didn't give you the trick. Students would go like this. They'd go the cubic root of 9, 9, 9, 9, okay? And this will work, and I'm going to show you that it works, but I'm going to show you a trick in a minute. So the good news, look, the roots fly off, so I get a 9. Now I get 3 cubic roots of 81. Now I know what your brain wants to do. You've seen the square root of 81 a million times, so you want to say 9. But no, we got to now say, all right, the cubic root of 81, 27. And see, mental arithmetic is kind of a dying skill. And so that's why I'm saying I don't like this method, because a lot of students would think, oh, I'm done. But no, you're not, because that would turn into 3 cubic root of 27, cubic root of 3, because 27 times 3 is 81. All over 9. I probably should have reduced that earlier, but I didn't. Now, what is the cubic root of 27? Well, the cubic root of 27 is just 3. What's 3 times 3? Well, that's 9. What's 9 over 9? Well, that's gone. So really, my answer is the cubic root of 3. Now, did that look like a hard problem? I think it did. So what's the trick? Let's just keep the answer on the board. And now I'm going to show you the trick. If you happen to notice, and this is where your math savviness needs to come into play, this is a perfect square root. Whoa, wait a minute. I thought we were talking about perfect cubic roots. No, we are, but listen. We need 3 of a kind. So if I notice that this is a perfect square root, I could just take a little moment and say, hey, that's the same thing as this. You see, because 3 times 3 is 9. Well, what good did that do me? A lot, because I only need 1 more of these for the roof to fly off. So I'm going to add 1 more. I'm going to add 1 to the top. And I want to show you how fast we can get to this answer, and it's very simple. What happens to the roofs in the bottom? They fly off. I got some oil here. I got some water here. Some of you are already seeing where this is going. And then they cancel, and we get the cubic root of 3. Way easier, okay? But you got to notice that this is a perfect square root. So that's the only time you can apply that trick. But be looking for it, because it's a nice little trick to have. There you go. On to the